The nightmare keeps on going. TPGY has told us that EVbox has not delivered the financial statements just yet. So what does this all mean? When is the merger going to happen exactly? And what am I going to do personally? Let's discuss. First of all, let's quickly recap what we talked about on August 6th, or at least what happened on August 6th, because of course the deadline was extended from August 6th all the way up to December 31st of this year, 2021. We also saw that EVbox will have to pay 12 million euros if the merger is going to fail, and they're going to have to pay an additional 3 million euros if EVbox was unable to deliver the 2020 audit and the interim unaudited financial statements to the company, so to EVbox, on or before October 22nd. Apart from that, we can also see that the company, so TPGY, the SPAC, and Engie, the seller, the parent company of EVbox, they expect to work toward completing the business combination in late 2021 or during the first half of 2022. Well, we can see that two things have at least happened since then. We can see that EVbox still has not delivered those documents we have just been talking about. So they will have to pay a fine of 15 million euros instead of 12 million euros if the merger is not going to be completed at any moment in the future. So that is, of course, a pretty significant fine for EVbox, or maybe it's not a significant fine. We're going to talk about that a little bit more later on. But we also see, apart from EVbox not having delivered those statements and having to pay a fine of 15 million euros if the merger does not happen, we can also see that the company has offered, so TPGY, the SPAC, has offered to terminate the existing subscription agreements with the investors, the PIPE investors, the institutional investors, if you will. And we can also see that certain of which have terminated these agreements. So we can see that some PIPE investors have already pulled back, have already gotten their money out of this deal to basically avoid any further downside. So this, of course, could mean that the PIPE investors, the institutional investors, do not think we might have a deal in the future, or at least in the near future. It could also be the case that they do think we are going to see a deal, but they simply have less trust in both of the companies to make this situation work in the next couple of years. And it is also possible that they are pulling out for a brief amount of time and then come back later because they want to take advantage, or they basically have this opportunity cost that they have money sitting in this deal, which they can also use for other investments in the same time. So when is this merger finally going to be completed? Well, as we have seen before, it is not sure just yet. They said that the combination could possibly be even still in 2021, late 2021 they mentioned, or even if in the first half of 2022. So they don't even mention the first quarter of 2022. No, they mention the first half of 2022. So yes, it could very well be a possibility that we are going to have to wait until all the way up to like June 2022 or something like that. And the thing is, we have seen before that the outside date, the deadline for this date was already pushed back from August 6th all the way up to 31st of December 2021. But it could very well be the case that this deadline, the outside date, is going to be postponed again and again and again. Now you might wonder, okay, is this a situation that is going to happen for the next couple of years, next couple of decades? Are we going to continue to postpone this deadline even more and even more and even more? Well, there is a final deadline for TPGY and EVbox to close this merger or not, to basically make it a definitive yes or no. And we can see that SPACs usually have a period of 2 years, 24 months to close the deal. Now we can see that this period starts on the so-called close date. And for this deal, for TPGY, the public offering closed on October 9th of 2020, so last year. That is the close date. From the close date, they have this period of 2 years, 24 months to basically close the merger or not. So I believe that the final deadline between TPGY and EVbox is going to be October 9th of 2022. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that we're going to have to wait until all the way up to 9th of October 2022, of course, but yes, it could very well be the case that we're not going to have a definitive yes or no by December 31st of this year, 2021. So what are my thoughts exactly? Well, first of all, I did not really expect EVbox to deliver their statements before October 22nd of this year, 2021. I thought that would happen before December 31st of this year, 2021, which of course is also the outside date. So we're going to likely have to wait until that date, December 31st, before we actually are going to get an updated information, an updated piece of news from TPGY and EVbox to see whether we're going to have an extended date or not, and whether we're going to have to wait all the way up to the first half of 2022 to get a merger or not. And I'm also a little bit confused, to be honest with you, and I suppose you are confused as well, because it looks like the company, so TPGY, the SPAC, and Engie, the seller, are working on a new deal. But I'm wondering, this new deal, okay, fine, we're going to get a new deal, but who is this deal better for? Like, who is going to be the main beneficiary of this deal? Is TPGY going to be the main beneficiary of a new deal, or is EVbox going to be the main beneficiary of a new deal? Because it looks like TPGY, the SPAC, is angry with EVbox. EVbox is not delivering their statements. EVbox is going to have to pay a fine of 15 million euros if the merger doesn't happen in the future. So maybe TPGY wants a even better deal, but the thing is, to me, it doesn't really make a lot of sense, because there is already a very, very good deal on the table, in my opinion, especially if you compare this deal with the other EV charging station companies that we have been speaking about in the past. For example, ChargePoint, that has a way higher enterprise valuation compared to EVbox at this very moment. So is this new deal going to be better for TPGY, or is it going to be better for EVbox? Because I could also imagine a situation where EVbox says, okay, what we see right now is that the current deal that's on the table is a very, very good deal for TPGY and the TPGY investors, people like you and me. So it might be the case that EVbox says, okay, it looks like we have left some money on the table. We are going to demand a better deal for EVbox. So we are going to make sure that the enterprise value is going to be higher instead of lower. Now, EVbox could always say, okay, what we're going to do is we are going to stall this deal. We're going to not deliver the statements that TPGY is waiting for. You, TPGY, you can still pull the plug if you want to. And we, EVbox, we are just going to find another SPAC if you don't want to merge with us, where we can sell our business for a higher valuation, for at least double the price, for example. So that is definitely a possible scenario that I believe that could be happening at this very moment. We have been talking about this fine of 15 million euros, but a fine of 15 million euros doesn't really matter that much if EVbox is going to be able to find another SPAC to merge with and have an enterprise valuation that is, for example, double the enterprise valuation that is currently on the table between EVbox and TPGY. So I am not really sure who is going to be the main beneficiary of a new deal. And the problem is, we investors, SPAC investors, we are basically caught in the middle. We are paying the price for this delay and also for a potential termination of the agreement. So I'm very much wondering what you think about this entire situation. Do you know the answer? Do you know who is the main beneficiary of a new deal? Do you think that TPGY is waiting for a better deal, or do you think EVbox is waiting for a better deal? So let me definitely know in the comments below this video. So what am I going to do exactly with this entire piece of news? Well, I'm still diamond handing. I am still holding my entire position. I have not sold a single share of TPGY. The thing is, the expected value for this deal, in my opinion, is still a positive one. I still believe it's more likely that we're going to get a deal than not, so I'm also in it for the long term. The thing is, we're also still very close to that level, the net asset value of about $10 per share, so I don't really think there's a lot of downside at this very moment, so I'm just going to continue to be waiting. Now, this could be a very big mistake, of course. Maybe I should have sold a long time ago, and maybe I should have used that cash for other investments, because there is definitely a opportunity cost involved, which I have also been talking about in the previous videos about TPGY and EVbox. So let me know in the comments, what do you think about this current situation? What are you going to do? Are you going to add to your position? Are you going to sell your entire position? Let me know in the comments. Now, if you haven't watched this video yet about the expected value for TPGY, definitely make sure to watch that one. But if you are very fed up with TPGY and with stocks in general, I can definitely understand that situation. Then maybe check out this video over here with the top 5 crypto for this month, November. And with that being said, thank you very much for taking the time to watch this video, and I hope to see you in the next one. Bye bye!